She had only 200 naira left in a dying mother at home. But when she saw the starving old woman begging for help, she made a choice that would change her life forever. But what she didn't know was that the woman was hiding a secret with ancient powers that would bring her unimaginable blessings, but also a betrayal so shocking it would nearly destroy her. Who was this mysterious old woman? And why did the magic ring she carried choose Nia? Sit back and find out as we enter this powerful and supernatural story. This is the story of a 25-year-old girl named Nia, who thought her world had already fallen apart. She had no idea that one act of kindness would unlock forces beyond her understanding, forces that would test not just her heart, but the hearts of everyone around her. Nia sat under the old bridge near the market, her back against the cold concrete wall. Her hands were shaking as she counted the money in her palm over and over again. 200 naira. That was all she had left in the world. She pressed her lips together and tried to stop her hands from trembling. Yesterday felt like a nightmare that wouldn't end. She could still hear her boss's angry voice echoing in her ears. Nia, you're too slow. You dropped that tray of food again. I can't keep someone who makes mistakes like this. Pack your things and leave. Just like that, her job at the small restaurant was gone. 3 months of washing dishes, cleaning tables, and running around for customers. And it all ended because she was tired and hungry, and her hands couldn't stop shaking. She had begged him, "Please, sir, give me one more chance. I need this job. My mother is sick." But he had already turned his back on her. "Find work somewhere else. I don't have time for people who can't do their job properly." Now she sat under this bridge with 200 naira and a decision that felt impossible to make. Her stomach made a loud rumbling sound that echoed off the walls around her. When was the last time she ate? Yesterday morning? No, it was the day before. She had given her small portion of rice to her mother because the coughing had gotten worse. Nia closed her eyes and tried to remember what the doctor had said when she took her mother to the clinic last week. "Your mother needs this medicine. Without it, her condition will get worse. The cough could turn into something more serious." He had written down the name of the medicine on a small piece of paper. When Nia went to the pharmacy, the man behind the counter had looked at her with pity. 200 naira exactly, he had said, "but you must buy it soon. We don't keep this medicine for long." Nia opened her eyes and looked at the money in her hand again. 200 naira, the exact amount for her mother's medicine, but her stomach was screaming for food, and her body felt so weak she could barely think straight. She looked across the dusty road and saw a small food vendor setting up his table. The smell of fresh bread drifted toward her, making her mouth water. A sign on his table read, "Hot bread, 50 naira. 50 naira for bread." That would leave her with 150 naira. But the medicine cost 200 naira exactly. There was no way around it. Nia stood up slowly, her legs feeling weak beneath her. She had to choose. Food for herself or medicine for her mother. But really there was no choice at all. She could survive another day without eating. Her mother might not survive another night without her medicine. She took a step toward the road, ready to walk to the pharmacy, when she heard a weak voice behind her. "My daughter." Nia turned around. An old woman was walking toward her, moving very slowly. Her face looked tired, and her clothes had small tears in them. She had no bag, no money that Nia could see. Her feet were bare, and she moved like someone who had been walking for a very long time. The woman stopped in front of Nia and looked at her with kind but desperate eyes. "My daughter," she said again, her voice barely above a whisper. "Please help me. I haven't eaten since yesterday. No, the day before that. 3 days now." Nia felt her heart sink. She looked at the woman's thin face and shaking hands. "Can you help me with some money for food? Just a little. Just enough to buy something small." The old woman pointed toward the bread vendor with a trembling finger. "Just 20 naira, my daughter. Just 20 naira so I can buy something to eat. If you don't help me, I might not see tomorrow. My body is so weak, I can barely stand." Nia stood there holding her 200 naira, looking at this woman who was begging for just 20 naira. 20 naira that would leave her with 180 naira. 20 naira short of her mother's medicine. The woman's eyes filled with tears. "Please, my daughter, I know you might not have much, but anything will help. I have been walking all day, asking for help, but everyone says no. You are my last hope. Nia felt something break inside her chest. Here was someone who was worse off than she was, someone who might not survive the night without help. And she was standing there with 200 naira, more money than this woman had seen in days. But her mother needed that medicine. All of it. Every naira. The old woman looked at her with such hope, such desperate need. My daughter, I haven't eaten in 3 days. Just 20 naira, please. If you don't help me, I might not see tomorrow. Nia stared at the old woman's face and felt her heart breaking. The woman's hands were shaking so badly she could barely keep them still. Her eyes had sunk deep into her face, the way people look when they haven't eaten for days, when they're slowly dying. Nia remembered something her mother had told her when she was little. They were walking past a beggar on the street, and Nia had asked why they should give him money when they barely had enough for themselves. Her mother had stopped walking and knelt down to look Nia in the eyes. My daughter, always remember this. When you see someone who is worse off than you, help them. Even if it costs you something important. God sees everything we do, and He never forgets kindness. Now standing under this bridge, those words echoed in Nia's mind. She looked at the old woman again, really looked at her. The woman's wrapper was torn in several places. Her feet were completely bare, with cuts and dust covering them. She had been walking for a long time, probably all day, maybe longer, and she was asking for just 20 naira, not 50, not 100, just 20. But Nia knew that even 20 naira would mean her mother wouldn't get the medicine. Without that medicine, Nia closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened them, she had made her decision. Mama, she said softly, using the respectful word for an older woman. You said you need 20 naira for food? The old woman nodded quickly, hope filling her eyes. Yes, my daughter, just 20 naira. That's all I need. Nia looked at the money in her hand one more time. Then she looked at the woman's desperate face. Mama, take 50 naira. Buy some good food for yourself. The old woman's mouth opened in shock. She stepped back. No, my daughter, I only asked for 20. I cannot take 50 from you. You look like you need it too. But Nia was already counting out 50 naira from her 200. She pressed the money into the woman's shaking hands. Take it, Mama, please. You need it more than I do right now. The old woman stared at the money in her hands, and tears began to roll down her cheeks. My daughter, why? Why are you doing this? You don't even know me. Nia smiled, even though her heart was breaking, because now she only had 150 naira left, not enough for her mother's medicine. Because you're hungry, Mama, and I can't let you go hungry when I have something to help. The old woman wiped her tears and walked slowly to the bread vendor. She bought bread and came back to where Nia was sitting. But instead of walking away, she sat down beside Nia under the bridge. My daughter, she said, breaking the bread in half, you must eat with me. I cannot eat alone when you have been so kind. Nia tried to refuse. No, Mama, that's your food. You need it. But the old woman insisted, I will not eat unless you eat with me. You gave me this food from your own need. The least I can do is share it with you. They sat together under the bridge, eating the bread in comfortable silence. Nia hadn't realized how hungry she was until she started eating. The bread tasted better than anything she had eaten in days. As they ate, the old woman kept looking at Nia with a strange expression. It was like she was seeing something that others couldn't see, like she was looking past Nia's face and into her heart. Tell me, my daughter, the old woman said after they had finished eating. What did you need that 50 naira for? What did you give up to help me? Nia looked down at her hands. My mother needs medicine. It costs 200 naira. I had exactly 200 naira, but now I only have 150. The old woman was quiet for a long time. Then she reached into her torn wrapper and pulled out something that caught the sunlight. It was small and seemed to shine with its own light. Child, the old woman said, her voice now different, stronger somehow. You have shown me that angels still walk among us. This belongs to you now. Nia looked at the object in the old woman's hand and gasped. It was a ring, but not like any ring she had ever seen before. It seemed to have its own light, like it was glowing from the inside. Strange symbols were carved all around it. Symbols that looked very old, older than anything Nia had ever seen. The old woman held the ring carefully in her palm, and Nia could swear she saw the light inside it getting brighter and dimmer, like it was breathing. "What is that, Mama?" Nia asked, her voice barely a whisper. The old woman smiled, but it was a different smile now. Not the desperate, hungry smile from before. This smile was knowing, like she held secrets that could change the world. "This ring," the old woman said, turning it slowly in her palm, "has been in my family for more generations than I can count. My great-great-grandmother gave it to my great-grandmother. She gave it to my grandmother. My grandmother gave it to my mother, and my mother gave it to me." Nia stared at the ring. The symbols on it seemed to move in the light, shifting and changing like they were alive. "But Mama, why are you showing it to me?" The old woman reached for Nia's left hand. "Because it doesn't belong to me anymore. It chooses its own owner. And today, it has chosen you." Before Nia could pull her hand away, the old woman slipped the ring onto Nia's finger. The moment it touched her skin, Nia felt a shock run through her entire body. Not painful, but powerful, like lightning made of warmth. "Mama, I can't take this," Nia said, trying to pull the ring off her finger. But it wouldn't move. It fit perfectly, like it had been made just for her finger. "This must be very valuable. I can't accept something like this." The old woman laughed softly. "Child, you cannot give it back even if you wanted to. The ring chooses its owner, and once it chooses, it stays. Try to remove it." Nia pulled at the ring with all her strength, but it was like it had become part of her finger. It wouldn't budge, not even a little bit. "Don't be afraid," the old woman said, seeing the worry on Nia's face. "The ring will not harm you. But listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you, because this is very important." Nia nodded, her heart beating fast. "This ring brings abundance to its owner. It will give you what you need when you need it. But," the old woman raised one finger in warning, "it only works for those with pure hearts, those who are kind, generous, and selfless. If your heart becomes greedy or selfish, the ring will leave you." The ring felt warm against Nia's skin, almost like it was responding to the old woman's words. "There's something else you must know," the old woman continued, her voice becoming more serious. "Beware of those who would steal what's not theirs. The ring has power, and power attracts dangerous people. Some will try to take it from you. Some will even pretend to be your friends to get close to it." Nia felt a chill run down her spine. What happens if someone tries to steal it? The old woman's eyes grew dark. The ring protects itself and its chosen owner. Those who try to take it by force or trickery will face consequences they cannot imagine. But you must be careful who you trust. Not everyone who smiles at you has good intentions. As the old woman spoke, the ring grew warmer on Nia's finger. It was like it was listening to every word, understanding everything that was being said. "Mama, I don't understand. Why me? Why did it choose me?" The old woman stood up slowly, but as she did, something strange happened. She no longer looked tired or weak. Her back straightened, her eyes became clearer, and she moved with strength that hadn't been there before. "Because, my child, you gave your last money to feed a stranger. You chose kindness over your own needs. You chose to help someone who was worse off than you, even when you had nothing to spare. That is the heart the ring was waiting for." Nia looked down at the ring on her finger. The symbols seemed to be glowing brighter now, and she could feel a strange energy flowing through her hand and up her arm. "What am I supposed to do with it?" she asked. "Use it wisely," the old woman said. "Help others when you can. Never let greed fill your heart. And remember, the greatest power is not in what the ring can give you, but in what you choose to do with that power." The old woman began walking away from the bridge. "Wait," Nia called after her. "I don't even know your name. How will I find you if I need help?" The old woman turned back and smiled. "When you truly need me, I will find you." Nia blinked, and in that split second the old woman was gone, completely vanished, like she had never been there at all. Nia rubbed her eyes and looked around. There was no sign of the old woman anywhere, no footprints in the dust, no sound of footsteps walking away. Nothing. She stared at the ring on her finger, wondering if she had imagined the whole thing. But the ring was real. She could feel its warmth, see its light. As she stared at it in shock, something impossible happened. A crisp, 1,000 naira note appeared at her feet. Then another one. Her eyes widened in disbelief as money literally began materializing around her. falling from nowhere like leaves from an invisible tree. Naya knelt down and picked up one of the Naira notes with shaking hands. It felt real, it looked real. She held it up to the light and examined it carefully. There was no doubt about it, this was real money. More notes appeared around her feet. She quickly gathered them up, looking around to see if anyone was watching. But the area under the bridge was empty. No one else was there to see this impossible thing happening. She counted the money once, then twice, then a third time, because she couldn't believe what she was seeing. 5,000 Naira. 5,000 Naira had appeared from nowhere, just by her wearing this ring. Every time a new note had appeared, she had felt the ring pulse with warmth against her finger, like it was responding to her need. This can't be real, she whispered to herself. Things like this don't happen in real life. But the money in her hands was very real. And suddenly an idea came to her. What if she could test the ring? What if she could see if it really responded to what she needed? She closed her eyes and thought about her mother. She pictured her mother's coughing, her weak body, her need for medicine. She thought about how much the medicine cost, 200 Naira, and how much extra supplements might cost to help her mother get stronger. The ring grew warm again, warmer than before. When she opened her eyes, more money had appeared at her feet. She counted it quickly. Another 2,000 Naira. Now she had 7,000 Naira total, more money than she had seen in months. Nia stood up quickly, stuffing the money into her pocket. She had to get to the pharmacy before it closed. She had to get her mother's medicine while she still had this chance. She ran through the streets faster than she had ever run before. Her heart was pounding, not from the running but from excitement and disbelief. When she reached the pharmacy, she was breathing hard. "The medicine," she said to the man behind the counter. "The medicine for my mother. You said it cost 200 Naira." The man looked at her and nodded. "Yes, I remember you. Do you have the money now?" "Yes," Nia said, pulling out 200 Naira. "I have it." As the man prepared the medicine, Nia looked around the pharmacy. There were vitamins and supplements on the shelves, things that could help make her mother stronger. "Sir," she said, "what vitamins would be good for someone who is very weak? Someone who needs to build their strength?" The man showed her several bottles. "These are good for building strength. These help with coughing. These give energy, but they are expensive." "How much for all of them?" The man calculated. 1,500 Naira for all 3 bottles. Nia didn't hesitate. "I'll take them all." The man looked surprised but prepared everything for her. Nia paid him and left the pharmacy with a bag full of medicine and supplements, things that could really help her mother get better. When she got home, she found her mother lying on their small mat, coughing weakly. But when Nia gave her the medicine, something strange happened. Her mother's coughing stopped almost immediately. Within minutes, she was sitting up and asking for water. Her voice was stronger than it had been in weeks. "Nia, where did you get the money for this medicine?" her mother asked. "I thought you said we didn't have enough." Nia didn't know what to say. She couldn't tell her mother about the ring. Who would believe such a story? I found some work today, Mama. Someone paid me for helping them." Her mother smiled and hugged her. "God has blessed us, my daughter. I feel better already." That night, Nia wrapped a small piece of cloth around her finger to hide the ring. She was afraid someone might see it and ask questions she couldn't answer. She was also afraid that if she told anyone about it, something bad might happen. The old woman had warned her about people who might try to steal it. The next morning, her best friend Mara came to visit. Mara had been Nia's friend since they were children. They told each other everything. But when Mara walked into their small room, she stopped and looked around in surprise. "Nia, what is all this?" she asked, pointing to the medicine bottles, the extra food on the table, and the new cloth her mother was wearing. "What do you mean?" Nia asked, trying to sound normal. Mara picked up one of the vitamin bottles and read the label. "These are expensive, Nia, very expensive. Yesterday you told me you had no money for your mother's medicine. Today you have medicine, vitamins, food, and new clothes for your mother. Where did all this come from?" Nia felt the ring grow warm under its bandage. "I got some work yesterday. Someone hired me to help them." But Mara was staring at her with suspicion. She had known Nia too long to be fooled easily. "What kind of work pays this much money in one day? And what happened to your finger?" Nia looked down at the bandage around her finger. "I hurt it yesterday. It's just a small cut." Mara's eyes narrowed as she noticed the bandage on Nia's finger. She looked around the room again, taking in all the expensive items. Since when do you have money for medicine and food and vitamins? And what's really under that bandage? You're hiding something from me, aren't you? Mara moved closer to Nia and sat right beside her on the mat. Too close. So close that Nia could feel her breath when she spoke. Mara's eyes were searching Nia's face, looking for something, studying every expression. Tell me again, Mara said slowly, exactly what work you did yesterday. Nia felt uncomfortable. Mara had never looked at her like this before, like she was trying to catch her in a lie.
I told you I helped someone with some work, and they paid me well.
But even as she said it, Nia knew it didn't sound believable. What kind of work could she do in one day that would pay enough for all these things? Mara stood up and walked to their small kitchen area. She opened the pot where they kept rice and saw that it was full. Yesterday, it had been almost empty. Nia, yesterday this pot had maybe 1 cup of rice left. Now it's full. And look, she opened another container. Beans, oil, salt, everything is here. This is a lot of money's worth of food. She turned back to face Nia, and her smile looked strange. It was the kind of smile people make when they're pretending to be happy, but they're not really happy at all. I'm so glad for you, my friend, Mara said, but her voice sounded forced. It's wonderful that you had such good luck. Tell me more about this person who hired you. What did they look like? Where did you meet them? Nia felt the ring under her bandage growing warmer. It was like it was trying to warn her about something. It was just a woman who needed help carrying some things. She paid me and left. I don't know much about her. Mara nodded, but her eyes were still suspicious. How much did she pay you? Enough for what we needed. But how much exactly? Nia didn't answer right away. She couldn't say 7,000 naira because that was too much money for carrying someone's things. But she couldn't say a small amount because then Mara would know it wasn't enough for all the things she had bought. I don't remember exactly. Mara's expression changed completely. The fake smile disappeared, and her eyes became hard. You don't remember how much money someone paid you? Yesterday you were counting your last 200 naira like it was gold, and today you don't remember how much money you received? The ring was getting very warm now, almost hot. Nia had to resist the urge to touch the bandage. Okay, fine, Nia said, feeling pressured. The truth is, I found some money on the ground. Someone must have dropped it. I looked around for the owner but couldn't find anyone, so I kept it. Mara stared at her for a long moment. Then she shook her head. Nia, we've been friends since we were small children. I know when you're lying to me, and you're lying right now. The silence between them felt heavy and uncomfortable. Nia had never lied to Mara before. They had always told each other everything. But how could she explain about the ring? Who would believe such a story? Listen, Mara said, sitting back down beside Nia. Whatever happened, whatever this good fortune is, I want to help you. We're best friends, right? We should share everything. If you found a way to make money, you should tell me so I can help you manage it properly. There was something in Mara's voice that made Nia feel uneasy. The way she said manage it properly sounded like she wanted to control whatever was happening. I can manage fine on my own, Nia said quietly. But think about it, Mara continued. If you have money now, you need to be smart about it. You need someone to help you make good decisions, someone you trust. She paused and looked directly at the bandaged finger. And what's really under that bandage? You said it was a cut, but cuts don't need to be wrapped for days. Nia's heart started beating faster. The ring was now so warm it felt like it might burn her skin. It's just a cut, Mara. It's nothing important. But Mara wasn't listening. She was looking around the room again, counting things, calculating in her head. I think I should stay here today, Mara said suddenly. Keep you company. Help you take care of your mother. That's not necessary, Nia said quickly. You have your own things to do. No, I insist. Best friends should spend time together, especially when one of them is going through such a lucky time. Mara settled herself on the mat like she planned to stay for hours. She watched every move Nia made. When Nia stood up, Mara's eyes followed her. When Nia touched something, Mara noticed. It felt like being watched by a hawk. After a while, Nia couldn't stand it anymore. I need to use the bathroom, she said. Of course, Mara said with that strange smile again. Take your time. Nia stepped outside to the small bathroom behind their house. But as soon as she was gone, Mara quickly began searching through Nia's things. She looked through her clothes, her bag, under her sleeping mat. She was looking for something, anything that would explain Nia's sudden good fortune. When Nia returned, Mara was sitting exactly where she had left her, looking innocent, but her eyes immediately went to the bandaged finger. You know, Nia, Mara said, her voice soft but with an edge to it, real friends don't keep secrets from each other. The next morning, Nia woke up and felt something strange under her pillow. She reached underneath and her fingers touched something that made her heart jump. Money, crisp Naira notes, neatly stacked. She sat up quickly and counted them. 3,000 Naira. The ring had provided more money while she slept. Nia looked at the ring under its bandage. It felt warm and comfortable on her finger, not hot like it had been yesterday when Mara was asking all those questions. It was like the ring knew what she needed and when she needed it. She thought about their rent. The landlord had been coming every week for the past 3 months, demanding his money. Yesterday, he had threatened to throw them out if they didn't pay by the end of the week. The rent was 2,500 Naira for 3 months. As soon as she thought about the rent, the ring pulsed gently, and she felt more money appear under her pillow. She reached under and found exactly 500 more Naira, just enough to make the total amount she needed. Nia shook her head in amazement. The ring somehow knew exactly what she was thinking about, exactly what she needed. That morning, she went to the landlord's house and paid the full amount of rent they owed. The man was so surprised he counted the money 3 times. Where did you get all this money, Nia? He asked suspiciously. I've been working hard, sir, saving every Naira I could. The landlord looked at her strangely but took the money. Well, you're paid up for 3 months, but don't let it happen again. After paying the rent, Nia went to the market. For the first time in years, she didn't have to count every Naira before buying something. She bought good rice, fresh vegetables, meat, oil, and spices. She even bought a new wrapper for her mother and a new shirt for herself. When she got home, her mother was sitting up and looking stronger than she had in months. The medicine was working, but it was more than that. Her mother's whole face looked different, healthier, younger somehow. Nia, you look different too, her mother said. You're not walking like someone carrying the weight of the world anymore. Nia smiled. It was true. For the first time in months, she wasn't worried about where their next meal would come from or whether they'd have a place to sleep. She cooked a good meal for her mother and herself, real food, with meat and vegetables. As they ate, neighbors started stopping by their door. Good afternoon, Nia, said Mrs. Kemi from next door. I couldn't help but notice the smell of good cooking coming from your house. Mrs. Kemi looked around their small room and saw the new things. The full food containers, the medicine bottles, her mother's new wrapper. Things seem to be going well for you these days, she said. But there was a question in her voice. Yes, Ma. We've been blessed, Nia replied carefully. After Mrs. Kemi left, 2 more neighbors came by with similar comments. They were curious about Nia's sudden change in fortune. In their small community, everyone knew everyone else's business. When someone suddenly had more money, people noticed. That afternoon, Nia was organizing their new things when she heard a familiar voice outside. Good afternoon, Auntie, Mara's voice called to Nia's mother. Is Nia at home? Nia's heart sank. She quickly checked that her bandage was secure and tried to look normal. Mara walked in and stopped immediately. Her eyes went wide as she looked around the room. There were new pots, new plates, good food everywhere, and in the corner a small bag that looked like it might contain more new clothes. Wow, Nia, Mara said slowly. You've been busy. She walked around the room like she was inspecting everything. She picked up the new pot and examined it. She looked at the quality of the rice in their container. She touched the new wrapper Nia's mother was wearing. This is all very nice, Mara said, but her voice had that same strange tone from yesterday. Very expensive looking. Nia watched as Mara calculated in her head. She could almost see her friend adding up the cost of everything in the room. I was just in the neighborhood, Mara said, but Nia knew that wasn't true. Mara lived on the other side of town. She had come specifically to see what else Nia had bought. That's nice of you to visit, Nia said, trying to keep her voice normal. But Mara wasn't really listening. She was staring at everything with barely hidden jealousy. Her eyes had a hungry look that made Nia uncomfortable. "So," Mara said, sitting down uninvited, "tell me more about this work you've been doing. It must pay very well." When Nia didn't answer right away, Mara's expression hardened. "Or maybe you found more money on the ground?" Her voice was sarcastic now. Nia felt the ring grow warm under its bandage. Warning her again, finally, Mara stood up and moved closer to Nia, cornering her near the door, where her mother couldn't hear them clearly. "Stop lying," she hissed in a low voice. "No one gets this lucky overnight. Either you tell me where this money is really coming from, or I'll start asking around the neighborhood. People are already talking about your mysterious fortune. How do you think that will look?" Nia felt trapped. Mara was standing too close. Her voice was getting louder, and her threats were becoming more serious. The ring on Nia's finger suddenly felt different. Instead of warm, it was cold, ice cold, like it was trying to warn her about something dangerous. "Mara, please keep your voice down," Nia whispered, looking toward where her mother was resting. "You're going to upset her." But Mara didn't move away. If anything, she stepped closer. "Then tell me the truth. I'm tired of these games, Nia." Mara's voice softened, but there was still something hard in her eyes. "Look, we've been friends since we were small children. We played together. We shared our food when times were hard. We told each other everything. Why are you shutting me out now?" Nia felt guilty. It was true. She and Mara had been like sisters growing up. When Nia's father died, Mara had cried with her. When Mara's family had no food, Nia had shared what little they had. "I'm not shutting you out," Nia said weakly. "Yes, you are. You're keeping secrets from me. Big secrets. And I don't understand why." Mara sat down on the mat and patted the space beside her. "Sit down. Let's talk like we used to when we were young." Reluctantly, Nia sat down. The ring was still cold against her skin. So cold it was almost painful. "Whatever this is," Mara said, taking Nia's hands in hers, "whatever's happening to you, I want to help. I want to protect you. If someone is giving you money, if someone is helping you, I need to know who they are. What if they're dangerous? What if they want something from you that you can't give?" Nia looked at Mara's face. Her friend looked genuinely worried now, genuinely caring. Maybe she was wrong to keep this secret. Maybe she did need someone to help her understand what was happening. "And if people in the neighborhood start talking," Mara continued, "if they start asking questions about where your money is coming from, you'll need someone to support your story. You'll need me to back you up." The ring was getting colder and colder. It felt like ice against Nia's skin. But Mara's words made sense. If people started getting suspicious, it could cause problems for her and her mother. "Promise me," Nia said finally. "Promise me that if I tell you, you'll keep it secret. You won't tell anyone, not anyone." Mara's eyes lit up with excitement, but she tried to hide it. "Of course, I promise. Best friends forever, remember. We used to say that when we were little." Nia took a deep breath. Against every instinct that was screaming at her not to do this, against the warning of the freezing cold ring, she slowly unwrapped the bandage from her finger. The ring appeared, glowing softly in the dim light of their room. The strange symbols seemed to move and shift as they watched. Mara gasped and leaned forward to get a better look. "What is that?" "It's a magic ring," Nia said quietly. "An old woman gave it to me. She said it brings abundance to people with pure hearts." A starred at her at the ring like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. "Magic? Real magic?" "Watch," Nia said. She closed her eyes and thought about needing money for food. The ring pulsed once, and 3 500 Naira notes appeared on the mat between them. Mara's mouth fell open. She reached for the money and examined it carefully. "This is real money," she whispered. "Real money just appeared from nothing." She looked back at the ring, and Nia saw something in her friend's eyes that she had never seen before. It was hunger, not hunger for food, but hunger for something much more dangerous. "Can I see it closer?" Mara asked, reaching toward Nia's hand. But the moment Mara's fingers got close to the ring, it became burning hot. So hot that Nia had to pull her hand away quickly. "Ow!" Nia said, shaking her hand. "What happened?" "It got very hot when you tried to touch it." Mara stared at the ring with fascination. So, it protects itself. It only works for you. Something in her voice had changed. It wasn't the voice of a concerned friend anymore. It was calculating, like she was working out a problem in her head. So this ring just gives you whatever you want? She asked slowly. And that old woman just gave it to you for some bread? Her smile was different now too. It wasn't warm or friendly. It was predatory, like a cat watching a mouse. Nia, she said, her voice becoming excited, do you realize what you have? Do you understand what we could do with this? The ring was now so cold it felt like it might freeze Nia's finger off. And for the first time since she had put it on, Nia was afraid. Over the next few days, Mara started visiting every single day. She would arrive in the morning and stay until evening, always with new ideas about what Nia should do with the ring. You're thinking too small, Mara said on the second day, sitting cross-legged on the mat with a notebook in her lap. She had been writing down numbers and calculations all morning. What do you mean? Nia asked, though she was starting to dread these conversations. You're only asking for small amounts of money, hundreds of naira here and there. Why not ask for thousands? Why not ask for 10,000 at once? Nia shook her head. I don't need that much money. I have enough for food and medicine. That's all I need. Mara looked at her like she was crazy. That's all you need? Nia, do you know what we could do with real money? We could buy a car. We could buy a house. We could buy gold and jewelry. I don't want those things, Nia said quietly. But Mara wasn't listening. She was staring at the ring on Nia's finger with that hungry look again. Think about it, she continued. We could be rich, really rich. We could leave this place and go live in the city. We could eat in restaurants every day. We could wear expensive clothes. The ring was getting warm against Nia's skin. Not the comfortable warmth she had felt before, but an uncomfortable heat that felt like a warning. The old woman told me to only use it for what I need, Nia said. Mara laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. The old woman? Nia, that old woman probably didn't even know what she was giving you. She was just some crazy person who found this ring somewhere. Don't talk about her like that, Nia said, feeling defensive. Why are you protecting her? You don't even know who she was, but I know who you are. I'm your best friend. I'm the one who's here with you now. Over the next few days, Mara's suggestions became more demanding. She would arrive each morning with new plans, new ideas for how they should use the ring's power. You're being selfish, she said on the fourth day. You have this amazing gift, and you're keeping it all to yourself. I'm not keeping it to myself. I'm using it to help my mother get better. But what about me? What about my family? Don't you think I deserve some help too? Nia felt guilty when Mara said this. It was true that Mara's family was also poor, but something about the way Mara was asking made her uncomfortable. I could share some of the money the ring gives me, Nia offered. That's not the same thing, Mara said sharply. I want to use the ring myself. I want to wear it and make my own wishes. The ring became so hot that Nia had to resist the urge to touch it. I don't think it works that way, Nia said. The old woman said it chooses its owner. Mara's eyes narrowed. How do you know it won't choose me? Maybe if I wear it for just a few minutes, it will decide I'm worthy too. I don't think that's a good idea. Why not? Are you afraid it will like me better than you? There was something mean in Mara's voice now, something that made Nia feel cold inside. It's not about that, Nia said. It's just, the old woman warned me about people trying to take it. I'm not trying to take it, Mara snapped. I'm trying to help you use it properly, but you're too scared and too selfish to see that. When Nia shook her head and refused to let Mara wear the ring, her friend's face changed completely. The mask of friendship fell away, and what was underneath was ugly. You know what, Nia? Mara said, her voice cold and calculating. Maybe you don't deserve that ring. Maybe someone who would actually use it properly should have it instead. The moment she said those words, the room suddenly became freezing cold, and the ring pulsed with an ominous energy that made both girls shiver. That night, Nia was sleeping deeply when she felt something touching her hand. At first, she thought she was dreaming, but then she felt fingers trying to pull at something on her finger, her ring finger. She jerked awake and saw Mara kneeling beside her sleeping mat, both hands wrapped around Nia's finger, trying desperately to pull the ring off. The moment Nia woke up, the ring exploded with heat. It burned so hot that Mara screamed and pulled her hands away, clutching her fingers to her chest. "Ah, it burned me!" Mara cried out, tears streaming down her face. Naya sat up quickly, her heart pounding. "Mara, what are you doing?" Mara was holding her hands close to her body, rocking back and forth in pain. "It burned me," she kept saying. "It burned my hands. Why were you trying to take my ring?" Naya demanded. Mara looked up at her with tears in her eyes, but now she was trying to lie her way out of what she had done. "I wasn't trying to take it," she said. "I was just checking on you. You were moving around in your sleep, and I thought you were having a bad dream. I was just trying to wake you up gently." But Naya could see the lie in her friend's eyes, and the ring was pulsing now with a light that looked angry. Not the soft, warm glow she was used to, but a harsh, bright light that made both girls blink. "You were trying to steal my ring," Naya said, and she couldn't believe she was saying these words about her best friend. "I wasn't stealing anything," Mara snapped, her pain making her voice sharp. "I was just trying to see if it would work for me too. Is that so wrong? We're supposed to be best friends. Best friends share everything." "Best friends don't try to take things while the other person is sleeping," Naya shot back. Mara stood up, still holding her burned hands. "You've changed, Naya. Ever since you got that ring, you've become selfish and suspicious. You don't trust me anymore. Maybe I have good reason not to trust you." The words hung in the air between them like a wall. Mara stared at Naya with a look of pure hatred. "You think you're so special now," Mara said. "You think you're better than me because you have some magic ring. But you didn't earn it. You didn't work for it. It was just luck. Stupid, dumb luck." The ring was getting brighter and brighter, and Naya could feel its energy building like a storm about to break. "You don't deserve it," Mara continued. "You're too weak to use it properly. You're too scared to do anything important with it." "Get out," Naya said quietly. "What?" "Get out of my house, now." Mara looked shocked for a moment, then her face twisted with anger. "Fine, but this isn't over, Naya. You can't keep that ring forever, and when you lose it, don't come crying to me for help." She stormed out of the room, slamming the door so hard that Naya's mother woke up. "What was that noise?" her mother called sleepily. "Nothing, Mama. Just Mara leaving. Go back to sleep." But Nia couldn't sleep. She sat on her mat looking at the ring on her finger. It felt different now, colder, more protective, like it was preparing for a fight. She could see small burn marks on the mat where Mara's hands had touched it after the ring burned her. The ring had protected itself, and it had protected her, but it had also shown her who her friend really was. As the night grew deeper, Nia noticed strange shadows moving outside her window. They weren't the normal shadows of trees or people walking by. These shadows moved in ways that didn't make sense, like they were dancing or searching for something. The ring began pulsing urgently, and suddenly Nia heard a voice. It was the old woman's voice, whispering so softly that only she could hear it. "The test has begun, child. Guard what is yours, for those with dark hearts will stop at nothing." After Mara left, Nia couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, the ring would pulse and show her things. Not normal things. Strange, frightening visions that felt more real than dreams. She saw Mara sitting in a dark room with people Nia had never seen before. Shadow figures who whispered evil things into Mara's ears. They were telling her how to take the ring by force. They were teaching her about magical objects and how to steal them from their owners. In the vision, Mara was writing things down in a notebook. Ways to remove rings that wouldn't come off normally. Methods involving pain and cutting and things that made Nia's stomach turn. But it got worse. The ring showed her Mara going around the neighborhood talking to people, spreading rumors. "I think Nia stole that money," Mara was saying to Mrs. Kemi. "Nobody gets rich that fast, honestly. She must have stolen it from someone." "I heard she's been meeting with strange men at night," Mara told another neighbor. "Men who give her money for things she shouldn't be doing." The visions made Nia feel sick. Her best friend was trying to destroy her reputation, trying to make people think she was a thief or worse. Then the ring showed her something that terrified her even more. It showed her other people from the past, people who had owned the ring before her. She saw a young man who had been kind and generous, just like her, but his brother had become jealous and tried to take the ring. The brother had gathered friends to help him, and they had tried to cut the ring off by force. The vision showed what happened to them. The brother and his friends had been driven mad. They wandered the streets, talking to invisible people, screaming about burning hands and voices in their heads. And the young man who owned the ring? He had died from the injuries they gave him while trying to cut it off. The ring had chosen a new owner only after his death. Nia woke up from these visions shaking and sweating. The ring was pulsing with urgent energy, trying to tell her something important. She tried to go back to sleep, but then she had a different kind of dream. The old woman appeared to her, looking exactly as she had that first day under the bridge. "Child," the old woman said, "you must listen carefully. The ring is not just testing you, it is testing everyone around you. It reveals the true hearts of people." "What's happening to Mara?" Nia asked in the dream. "She has chosen darkness over light. The ring shows people their choices, but it cannot force them to choose correctly. Your friend has chosen greed over friendship, jealousy over love." The old woman's face became serious. "There will be a spiritual battle soon. Dark forces are gathering around her, teaching her how to take what is not hers. But the ring will protect you as long as your heart remains pure." "What if they hurt me? What if they hurt my mother?" "The ring has power beyond what you understand. It will protect what is precious to it. But you must be strong. You must not let fear make you do something wrong." When Nia woke up, she noticed something strange happening around their house. There was a shimmer in the air like heat waves, but it was cool morning. The ring was creating some kind of invisible barrier around their home. Over the next few days, neighbors started talking about strange things happening around Mara's house. People reported seeing dark figures walking around her compound at night. Her neighbors said they heard her talking loudly to people, but when they looked, she was alone. Mrs. Falaki, who lived next to Mara, came to Nia's house looking worried. "Something is wrong with your friend," she said. "She hasn't been sleeping. She talks to herself all day and all night, and her eyes look different." 3 days after the supernatural warnings began, Nia heard heavy footsteps outside their door. Multiple people. The ring immediately began pulsing with urgent, frightened energy. Through the window, she saw Mara approaching with 2 large men she didn't recognize. But something was terribly wrong with Mara. Her eyes were completely black. Not just dark, but black, like empty holes. "Give me the ring, willingly, Nia," Mara called out in a voice that didn't sound like her own. "And nobody gets hurt. Refuse and we'll take it by force." The ring screamed with supernatural energy, and the air around their house began to crackle with power. The door to their small room burst open with such force that it crashed against the wall. Mara and the 2 large men pushed their way inside before Nia could even think about running. "Mama!" Nia screamed to her mother, who was lying on her mat in the corner. "Stay down!" But there was nowhere to run. The room was too small and the men were blocking the only way out. "Hold her!" Mara commanded in that strange voice that didn't sound like her anymore. The 2 men grabbed Nia's arms and held her tightly. She struggled and kicked, but they were too strong. Mara approached with something shiny in her hand, a knife, a sharp kitchen knife that gleamed in the dim light. "This will only hurt for a moment," Mara said, her black eyes staring at the ring. "Then we'll both be free." "Mara, please," Nia begged. "This isn't you. You're my friend." But Mara wasn't listening. She grabbed Nia's hand and pressed the knife against her finger, right at the base of the ring. The moment the knife touched the ring, everything exploded. Light burst from the ring so bright that everyone in the room had to close their eyes. It was like looking directly at the sun. The 2 men screamed and let go of Nia, stumbling backward with their hands over their faces. But the light was just the beginning. A wind started blowing inside the room. Not a normal wind, but a supernatural wind that came from nowhere and everywhere at once. It whipped around the room so violently that it shattered their small window and sent their cooking pots flying through the air. "What is happening?" one of the men shouted over the noise. Mara was still trying to get to the ring, but now her eyes had changed again. They weren't black anymore. They were completely white, like someone had rolled them back into her head. "Give it to us!" she screamed. But her voice was different, deeper, like multiple people were speaking through her mouth at once. She lunged at Nia with inhuman strength, her fingers stretched out like claws. She was no longer trying to use the knife. She was trying to tear the ring off with her bare hands. The ring became so hot that Nia thought it might burn her finger off. But somehow, even though it was burning hot, it wasn't actually hurting her. It was protecting her from Mara's claws. Every time Mara's fingers got close to the ring, they would burn and smoke, forcing her to pull back. But she kept trying, over and over, like she couldn't feel the pain. The supernatural wind grew stronger. Pots and plates and clothes were flying around the room like they were caught in a tornado. The two men were trying to get out, but the wind kept pushing them back. "I can't stay here," one of them yelled. "This is not normal." "Neither can I," the other man replied. "She didn't tell us about this kind of power." They pushed their way through the supernatural wind and ran out of the house, leaving Mara alone with Nia. But Mara wasn't giving up. With her white eyes and inhuman strength, she kept trying to grab the ring. She was making sounds that weren't human anymore, growling and hissing like a wild animal. Objects continued flying around the room. Their water bucket hit the wall and broke. Their small mirror shattered into pieces. Even their sleeping mats were lifted up and thrown around. Then suddenly the ring pulsed with a power so strong that it knocked Mara backward. She hit the wall hard and slid down to the floor. For a moment, everything was quiet. The wind stopped. The flying objects fell to the ground. Mara lay on the floor, her body shaking and convulsing, like she was having some kind of fit. Her eyes were rolling back and forth between black and white and normal. Then she spoke, but it wasn't her voice. It was something else speaking through her. "You cannot hide from us forever," the voice said, cold and terrifying. "We know what you carry. The ancient powers will be ours." Then Mara went completely still. Her breathing became so shallow that Nia couldn't tell if she was alive or dead. When Mara finally woke up 2 hours later, Nia knew immediately that something terrible had happened to her mind. Her friend's eyes were open, but they moved constantly, looking at things that weren't there. "They're following me," Mara whispered, staring at the corner of the room. "The dark ones. They say I failed them. They say I owe them something now." Nia knelt beside her. "Mara, there's nobody there. You're safe now." But Mara looked at her like she was a stranger. "Who are you? Are you one of them too? Did they send you to watch me?" She held up her hands and Nia gasped. Both of Mara's palms had permanent burn marks in the exact shape of the ring. The burns were deep and would never heal properly. She would carry those marks for the rest of her life. "It burns," Mara said, looking at her hands. "It burns, but it's not there. The precious is not there, but it burns me still." Over the next few days, Mara wandered the streets of their neighborhood, talking to people only she could see. She would stop in the middle of the road and have full conversations with empty air. Yes, I tried to take the precious," she would say to invisible spirits. "But it burned me, it marked me. Now you say I belong to you?" People began crossing the street to avoid her. Children ran away when they saw her coming. The adults whispered among themselves. "Poor girl," Mrs. Kemi said to Nia one day. "She must have started using drugs. That's what happens to young people who get involved with bad substances. They lose their minds." But Nia knew it wasn't drugs. The ring had shown her what really happened to Mara's mind during the attack. Through supernatural visions, she could see her former friend's torment. Mara was trapped between two worlds. She could see the normal world, but she could also see the spiritual world, the dark spirits that had promised to help her steal the ring. Now, those spirits wouldn't leave her alone. They followed her everywhere, tormenting her for failing them. In the visions, Nia watched Mara trying to sleep, but the spirits would shake her awake. She would try to eat, but they would knock the food from her hands. They whispered terrible things in her ears all day and all night. Even though Mara had tried to hurt her, Nia felt guilty watching her suffer like this. This was her childhood friend, the girl who had shared toys with her when they were small. One night, as Nia was praying and asking God what she should do, the old woman appeared to her again. But this time, she didn't come in a dream. She materialized right there in their small room, glowing with soft light. "You have questions, child," the old woman said. "What happened to Mara? Can she be healed?" The old woman's face was sad but stern. She chose darkness over light. She chose greed over friendship. The ring's justice is ancient and powerful. Those who try to steal what belongs to a pure heart face consequences in both worlds. But she's suffering so much, Naya said. Isn't there anything that can be done? The old woman studied Naya's face for a long moment. There is one way, but it would require a great sacrifice from you. What kind of sacrifice? The old woman's eyes began to glow with ancient power, and when she spoke, her voice echoed like it was coming from a great distance. Choose wisely, child. Keep the ring and live in abundance while your friend suffers forever. Or sacrifice the ring to restore her sanity and return to your old life. Give up all the power, all the money, all the security the ring has brought you. Naya's heart stopped. Give up the ring? Go back to being poor and hungry? Let her mother get sick again? But know this, the old woman continued. If you choose mercy, the ring will test your heart one final time, the greatest test of all. For 3 days, Nia couldn't stop thinking about the old woman's words. She would go to the market and see Mara sitting on the ground talking to invisible people, and her heart would break a little more each time. From a distance, she watched her former friend's complete breakdown. Mara no longer bathed or combed her hair. She wore the same torn clothes every day. Sometimes she would laugh at nothing, and sometimes she would cry and beg the invisible spirits to leave her alone. At night, the ring would show Nia visions of the comfortable life she could have if she kept it. She saw herself in a nice house with her mother, both of them healthy and happy. She saw herself going to school, maybe even university. She imagined having enough money to help other people, to make a real difference in the world. The ring felt warm and comfortable on her finger during these visions, like it was promising her that all of this could be real. But then she would see other visions. Mara's mother crying every night, not understanding what had happened to her daughter. Mara's little brother asking why his sister didn't recognize him anymore. The whole family falling apart because they couldn't afford to get Mara the help she needed. Nia remembered when they were children how Mara would share her lunch with her when Nia's family had no food. She remembered how Mara had held her when she cried after her father died. She remembered all the good times, all the laughter, all the sisterly love they had shared before the ring came between them. The ring was growing heavier on her finger each day, like it was testing her resolve. Sometimes it felt like it weighed as much as a stone, reminding her constantly of the choice she had to make. One evening, Nia gathered her courage and approached Mara, who was sitting alone under the same bridge where Nia had first met the old woman. "Mara," she said softly. For a moment, Mara's eyes cleared, and she looked at Nia with recognition. It was like seeing her old friend peek through the madness for just a second. "Nia," Mara whispered, her voice small and broken. "Help me. Please help me. They won't stop talking. They won't leave me alone." Tears rolled down Mara's cheeks, and in that moment, she looked like the scared little girl Nia had grown up with. But then the madness returned, and Mara went back to talking to the invisible spirits. That night, the old woman appeared to Nia one more time. "Have you decided?" she asked gently. "I don't know how to choose," Nia said, tears streaming down her face. "If I keep the ring, Mara suffers forever. If I give it up, my mother might get sick again. We might not have enough food. We might lose our home." The old woman nodded with understanding. This is the hardest choice any human can make. To choose mercy when it costs you everything you have. "But that's what mercy is, isn't it?" Nia said slowly, the realization dawning on her. "It's not mercy if it's easy. It's not mercy if it doesn't cost you anything." The old woman smiled. "You are beginning to understand the ring's true purpose. It was never just about testing your honesty or your kindness. It was testing your capacity for forgiveness, your ability to show mercy even to those who have hurt you." "This was always the real test, wasn't it?" Nia asked. "Yes, child. The ring has had many owners over the centuries. Some kept it and lived in comfort while others suffered. But the truly great ones, the ones who became legends, were those who chose mercy over security." Nia looked at the ring one final time, feeling its warm power coursing through her. All the abundance, all the security, all the possibilities for her future. "I know what I have to do," she whispered. But as she began to remove the ring, it suddenly burned ice cold against her skin, and a new voice spoke, not the old woman's voice, but something else entirely. "Wait, child, there is another way." The figure that appeared before Nia was no longer the old woman she remembered. This was a being made of pure light, so bright that Nia could barely look at her directly. But somehow she could still see the old woman's kind eyes within the brilliant glow. "Do not be afraid, child," the being said, and her voice sounded like music and wind and water all at once. "I am showing you my true form because you have earned the right to see it." Nia fell to her knees, overwhelmed by the presence of something so powerful and holy. "You're not just an old woman, are you?" she whispered. "I am what you would call a guardian spirit," the being replied. "I have been watching over this ring and testing human hearts for many, many years. Centuries, in fact." The light around the being pulsed gently as she spoke. "From the moment you gave me your last money for food, I knew you had the heart I was looking for. But the ring's true purpose was never just to make you rich or comfortable." "What was its purpose?" Nia asked. "To reveal character, to show the true nature of human hearts, to teach lessons about greed, generosity, loyalty, and forgiveness." The being moved closer, and Nia could feel warmth radiating from her. The ring was never meant to be kept permanently by anyone. It moves from person to person, teaching its lessons, then moves on. But before it can move on, it must complete its final lesson. What lesson? The lesson of mercy, the lesson of forgiveness, the lesson of sacrificing everything for love. Nia looked at the ring on her finger, understanding beginning to dawn. "Mara's punishment can be lifted," the being continued, "but only if she genuinely repents of her greed and jealousy, and only if someone who loves her is willing to sacrifice everything to save her. You're mean me. Yes, you must perform one final act of selfless love. You must choose to save your friend, even though she betrayed you, even though she tried to hurt you, even though saving her means losing everything the ring has given you." The being's light grew brighter, and Nia realized they were no longer alone. Other figures of light were appearing around them, watching silently. "We are not the only ones who have been observing this test," the being explained. "The spiritual realm has been watching human choices for centuries. We are always looking for hearts that choose love over fear, mercy over justice, forgiveness over revenge. What happens if I choose to save Mara?" The being smiled, and her smile was like sunrise. "Your kindness, your pure heart, your choices throughout this test have already qualified you for a different kind of blessing. Not magical wealth that can be lost or stolen, but something far more precious." "What kind of blessing?" "The blessing of a life lived with purpose. The blessing of knowing that you chose correctly when faced with the hardest choice any human can make. The blessing of becoming an example that others will follow." The other light beings moved closer, and Nia could feel their approval and love surrounding her. "There are people all over the world who need to hear your story," the main being continued. "People who struggle with greed, with jealousy, with a temptation to take what doesn't belong to them. Your choice will inspire them to choose differently." "What about my mother? What about our needs? Do you think the creator of the universe, who has been watching you choose correctly at every step, will abandon you when you make the ultimate choice of love?" The being extended her hand, glowing with infinite compassion. "Remove the ring willingly, knowing you'll lose its power forever, and speak forgiveness over your friend. Do this and watch how the universe rewards a truly pure heart." Nia stood up from where she had been kneeling and walked slowly to where Mara sat under the bridge. Her former friend was rocking back and forth, having another conversation with the invisible spirits that tortured her. No, I tried," Mara was saying to the empty air. "I tried to get the precious, but it burned me. Why won't you leave me alone?" Nia knelt down beside her. "Mara." For a moment, Mara looked at her with those broken, confused eyes. "Are you real, or are you another spirit they sent to trick me?" "I'm real," Nia said gently. "I'm your friend. I'm here to help you." She looked at the ring on her finger one last time. As she did, she felt all of its power flowing through her, the warmth, the security, the promise of a better life. She thought about her mother, about their needs, about the comfortable future she was about to give up. But then she looked at Mara's tortured face, at the burn marks on her hands, at the complete brokenness of someone who had once been like a sister to her. "I choose mercy," she whispered. Slowly, Nia began to pull the ring off her finger. It had never come off easily before, but now it slid off smoothly, like it was ready to go. As it left her finger, she felt the power draining from her body. The warmth, the energy, the supernatural strength. all of it flowing away. But instead of feeling weak, she felt something else. She felt free. She took the ring and gently placed it on Mara's forehead, right between her eyes. Mara tried to pull away, but Naya held her steady. "Listen to me, Mara," Naya said, her voice strong and clear. "I forgive you. I forgive you for trying to steal from me. I forgive you for betraying our friendship. I forgive you for bringing those men to hurt me." The ring began to glow where it touched Mara's skin. "Your greed doesn't define you," Naya continued. "Your jealousy doesn't define you. The person you became when you wanted this ring, that's not who you really are. You are my sister, you are my friend, and I love you." Mara's eyes were growing wider as the ring's light got brighter. "Come back to us," Naya said. "Come back to yourself. Come back to me." The ring suddenly dissolved into pure light, flowing into Mara's forehead like water soaking into dry ground. The light spread through her head, down her neck, through her whole body. For a moment, everything was silent. Then Mara blinked, and when she opened her eyes, they were clear. Really clear. For the first time in weeks, she looked like herself again. "Naya?" she said, her voice normal and confused. "What happened to me? Where am I?" Then the memories came flooding back. Naya could see it in her face, the horror of remembering what she had done, what she had become. "Oh God," Mara whispered, looking at her burned hands. "Oh God, what did I do? Nia, what did I do to you?" She began to cry. Not the mad crying of someone who had lost their mind, but the deep, heartbroken crying of someone who remembered their sins. "I tried to steal from you," she sobbed. "I brought those men to hurt you. I was so jealous, so greedy. I became a monster." "You're not a monster," Nia said, reaching out to hold her friend. "You made mistakes, but you're not a monster." "How can you forgive me?" Mara cried. "How can you even look at me after what I did?" "Because you're my sister," Nia said simply, "and sisters forgive each other." They embraced there under the bridge, both of them crying now. The spiritual being watched them with approval, her light warm and gentle around them. As the ring's light faded completely, Mara pulled back from their embrace and looked at Nia with wonder-filled eyes. "Nia, I'm so sorry, so sorry, but look." She pointed behind Nia, her voice filled with awe. "Look what your sacrifice has brought." When Nia turned around, she gasped. 3 figures of light now surrounded them, not just one. They formed a circle around her and Mara, and their combined radiance was so beautiful it made Nia's heart feel like it might burst from joy. "Nia, daughter of courage," the first being spoke, "you have passed the greatest test any human soul can face, the test of choosing mercy over power," said the second being. "The test of loving when love costs everything," added the third. The original being, the one who had appeared as the old woman, stepped forward. "Your sacrifice has qualified you for blessings that go far beyond any magical ring. The ring's power was temporary, but what you will receive now is eternal." As she spoke, something appeared in the air in front of Nia. It looked like an official letter, but it glowed with soft light. "Tomorrow you will receive a job offer," the being explained. "Manager of a humanitarian organization that helps poor families. The salary will be enough to care for your mother and help many others besides." Nia's eyes filled with tears. A real job. A job helping people, just like she had always dreamed. "But that's not all," the second being said. "Your mother's health has been permanently restored, not through magic that can be lost, but through divine intervention that cannot be taken away." Nia thought of her mother, probably sleeping peacefully at home, and her heart overflowed with gratitude. The third being turned to Mara. "And you, daughter of repentance, have your own path of redemption. You will be offered work at a community center, helping other young people who struggle with greed and jealousy. Your experiences will help them choose differently." Mara looked amazed. "You're giving me a chance too? After everything I did?" "Forgiveness creates new beginnings," the being replied gently. But the beings weren't finished. The first one spoke again, her voice filled with mysterious joy. "In time, you will both be blessed with children. Children who will carry the spiritual mark of your sacrifice. They will be born with pure hearts and will grow up to help many people." "Children," Nia whispered. "Children who will inherit not magical powers, but something far greater. The ability to choose love over selfishness, mercy over revenge, forgiveness over bitterness. The three beings moved closer, and Nia could feel their love surrounding her like warm light. "We promise to watch over your families for generations," they said together. "Your children and your children's children will be guided and protected. The choice you made today will bless your family line forever." Then the original being transformed back into the old woman, Nia remembered from that first day under the bridge. She opened her arms and embraced both girls at once. "My precious daughters," she said, tears of joy flowing down her face, "you have learned the most important lesson in the universe."
What lesson?
Mara asked. "That the greatest magic is not in rings or gold or supernatural power. The greatest magic is in the choice to love when love costs everything, to forgive when forgiveness seems impossible, to show mercy when mercy means losing everything you have." She held them tighter. Most people spend their whole lives looking for magic outside themselves. But the real magic was always inside your hearts, in your ability to choose what is right, even when it's hard. The other beings began to fade, but their voices echoed in the air. "Well done, faithful servants. Enter into the joy prepared for those who choose love." As the light around them dimmed, the old woman looked at both girls with pride and love. "But your story is not over," she said, smiling through her tears. "There are others out there who need to learn this lesson too. Others who are struggling with greed, jealousy, and the temptation to take what doesn't belong to them." She paused, her eyes twinkling with mysterious purpose. "Are you ready for your next mission?" The old woman's eyes began to glow with a different kind of light, and her voice took on a tone of ancient authority. "What I am about to tell you will change everything you think you know about your experience with the ring," she said. Nia and Mara looked at each other, then back at her, waiting. "I am part of an ancient order," the old woman continued. "We have existed for thousands of years, long before your great-great-grandparents were born. Our purpose is to test human hearts, to find those who can choose love over greed, mercy over revenge." "An order?" Nia asked. "Spiritual beings who walk among humans, looking for pure hearts. The ring you carried was just one of many tools we use to reveal people's true nature." She gestured to the space around them, and suddenly they could see other figures moving in the spiritual realm, dozens of beings of light, all watching them. "And now," the old woman said, "you two have been chosen to join us." "Join you?" Mara asked, her voice filled with wonder. "You have both passed the ultimate test. Nia chose mercy over power. Mara chose repentance over pride. Together, you learned that love is stronger than greed. Now you must teach others." The old woman reached into her robes and pulled out two objects that glowed with soft light. One was a simple bracelet made of what looked like silver thread. The other was a small pendant in the shape of a teardrop. "Nia," she said, placing the bracelet around Nia's wrist. "This is a blessing bracelet. It will help you show people the good they could do if they choose correctly." The bracelet felt warm and alive against Nia's skin, like it had its own heartbeat. "Mara," the old woman continued, placing the pendant around Mara's neck. "This is a truth pendant. It will help people see the real consequences of their greed and selfishness." The pendant rested against Mara's chest, pulsing gently. "Your mission," the old woman explained, "is to find and test other souls who are struggling with greed and betrayal. You will work together to help them choose correctly, just as you learned to choose correctly." The spiritual beings around them began to show them visions, images of people all over the world who needed their help. They saw a wealthy businessman in an expensive suit, sitting in a big office counting money that should have gone to help orphan children. They saw a politician in a government building, taking bribes while poor people outside waited for help that would never come. They saw a landlord throwing families out of their homes during a pandemic, more concerned about profit than human suffering. "These are your first assignments," the old woman said. "People whose hearts have been corrupted by greed, who need to learn the lessons you have learned." "How do we help them?" Nia asked. "The same way you were helped, through tests that reveal their true character, through choices that show them who they really are inside." "Will it work for everyone?" Mara asked. The old woman's expression became serious. "Some hearts are harder to change than others. Some people have chosen darkness so completely that they resist every attempt to help them. But you must try. That is your calling now." She placed a hand on each of their shoulders. You will work together, supporting each other, forgiving each other's mistakes. The bond you have rebuilt through forgiveness will be your greatest strength. Just as they were about to accept their new roles, a dark shadow suddenly appeared in the spiritual realm behind the old woman. It moved like smoke, but with purpose and intelligence. The old woman spun around, her face immediately filled with concern. "What is that?" Nia asked. "Trouble," the old woman said urgently. "Not all will welcome your interference. There are those who profit from human greed, who benefit when people choose selfishness over love. They will try to stop you." The shadow grew larger and more menacing. "Dark forces that feed on human corruption," she continued. "They will see you as a threat to their power. If you like African stories, please subscribe to our channel, African Tales by AB, so you can watch all new stories first. Like the video to support us in making more interesting stories, and leave a comment to share your thoughts. Your feedback is very important to us. Share this video with your friends and family so they can also enjoy these.